lions are generally not aggressive, unless they are provoked or feel threatened. However, like all animals, they are capable of aggression when they feel that their safety or the safety of their pride is in jeopardy. In the wild, lions may become aggressive when hunting or protecting their territory from other lions or intruders. In captivity, lions may become aggressive if they are not provided adequate space and enrichment or are mistreated by their handlers. It is essential to respect lions and give them the space and care they need in order to avoid triggering their natural instincts for aggression. In today's video, we'll tell you about a story where a man threw a little dog into a lion's cage, and what happened next shocked everyone. Everybody held their breath as they watched, mesmerized. It was a scary scene as the park went completely silent. He held tightly onto the leash, waiting to see what would happen but ready for a quick reaction if things went south. Then the two pairs of eyes met and spent a few seconds sizing each other. Finally, one of them made the first move. And what happened next was something no one could have predicted. Only a few months before, John had no idea he'd find himself in that situation. He had just welcomed feline cubs to his house, but these weren't your typical house cats. It was a tiger cub named Tony and a lion cub named Bone Digger. John takes care of rescued young wild cats at his home in Wynwood, Oklahoma. Previously, he had also hand-reared two tiger cubs called Tippy and Orlando, but this new pair was something special. John hand-fed Tony and Bone Digger formula and raw meat, groomed them, walked with them, and played with them. The two cubs, despite being different species, soon became like brothers. They loved wandering around and play fighting with each other and also with John. Tony was the more playful of the two and sometimes got a little too rough with John. But Bone Digger was always there to keep his feline buddy in check, snarling at him so he wouldn't hurt John. And there was a reason for that. Bone Digger was brought to John because he couldn't survive in the wild. He was born with a metabolic bone disease. This rare condition meant his bones would grow a little deformed and more brittle than those of a normal lion. Bone Digger would have to live in captivity away from bigger, stronger animals that could hurt him. Thankfully, he had found someone who understood what it was like to live with a disability, and that someone was John. Before he started caring for big cats, John had always lived on the wild side. One day in 1994, he went bungee jumping, and the trap door malfunctioned, and he fell 55 feet to the ground. He survived, but broke his feet, hip, and back. The doctors told him he would never walk again, but he's very stubborn. Through physical therapy, he regained the use of his legs, but he kept suffering from infections and soon received some life-changing news. Both of John's legs were amputated at the knee, but this only made his resolve grow more muscular. He started caring for young wild cats, which soon became his passion. He developed a powerful bond with Bone Digger, probably because they both understood what it felt like to be physically different from others. But these were big cats, and he couldn't keep them in his house forever. Luckily, there was a perfect place already waiting for them. Aside from taking care of young cats in his home, John also worked as a park manager at the Greater Wynwood Exotic Animal Park. This would become Tony and Bone Digger's new home, with big, grassy enclosures to roam and play. Tony was taken to meet the other tigers in the park, while Bone Digger got a section all to himself. But, despite having a lot more room, he wasn't happy. Bone Digger missed his play pals Tony and John, and soon he became really lonely. He would pace around the enclosure and bite at the fence. But John knew he couldn't put Bone Digger with other lions or tigers as he was likely to get hurt. That said, he didn't want him to languish in his loneliness, and that's when he got an unorthodox idea that was quite scary, and you'll find out about it in a minute. Aside from all the wild animals and enclosures, the park was also home to a pack of 4 dachshunds. Abby, Milo, Bullet, and Angel were considered the park mascots and roamed around freely. They were extremely friendly, not just with humans, but with all the other animals in the park. Abby was the pack leader and the most fearless of the 4. This gave John an idea. John put Abby on a leash and went into Bone Digger's enclosure while another keeper held onto the young lion. The two stared at each other for a few seconds until Abby started jumping around, clearly wanting to play with Bone Digger. Suddenly, the lion pulled away from his keeper. It was a tense moment as neither man knew if he was about to attack Abby. But what happened next was completely unexpected. Bone Digger actually moved away from Abby, and it seemed he was scared of her. Abby didn't let up, though. And soon the young lion's curiosity got the best of him, and he slowly approached the wiener dog. Once he got closer, he started sniffing her as she wagged her tail. Excited, Abby began to run around in the grass and soon found Bone Digger's stash of toys. The lion ran over to protect his things. Then Abby licked him on the nose. That's when John knew his plan had worked. After the awkward initial meeting, Bone Digger decided he liked Abby after all. It was incredible to see how this tiny dog was so unafraid of a lion who, although still young, seriously hurt her. John says it all comes down to her cluelessness. Apparently, dachshunds aren't really aware of their size, so they aren't daunted when they come up against bigger animals. And Bone Digger, craving a new playmate, found the perfect companion in Abby, and soon, it would become a pride. Bone Digger and Abby were moved into a bigger enclosure where Abby got her own bed alongside her new best friend. Soon, the other 3 dachshunds were introduced to Bone Digger, and they all got along swimmingly. They became part of his pride, and he became part of their pack. They run around playing and chasing each other, and they're never apart, except when John has to clean their enclosure. Every once in a while, John has to enter the enclosure to trim down the grass and eliminate weeds. The dachshunds love to attack the weed whacker, so John is forced to take them out. Bone Digger spends the whole time pacing around the fence, crying. As soon as I'm done weeding, I let the weenie dogs back in, and he counts his weenie dogs, makes sure they're all there, and just loves all over them, he says. But Abby's definitely the one he loves the most. John witnessed a more powerful bond between Abby and Bone Digger than the other 3 weenie dogs. He even bites at the fleas like you see dogs do with each other. It's just crazy what they do, and he feels their relationship is a lesson for us all. He's a wild animal, but he can be tamed. The weenie dog is a tamed animal, but it can be wild. Yeah, that's all. Let us know in the comments how you find this story, and if you want to watch such stories on our channel, because we keep telling stories on our channel. If you're going to watch such stories in the coming day, please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified when our next video goes live. See you in the next episode. Take care and have fun.